Disclaimer, this video may contain blood, violence, strong language, profanity, crude humor, and mature themes and scenes. This video is designed for mature audiences and may not be suitable for children. Viewer discretion is advised. But the majority of you are still gonna watch, aren't you? Thanks. The spring season this year didn't really pique my interest. Yeah, you had your Mahokas and your Data Lives and your Mikaku shady voice actors, but there were only about one or two that really stood out to me. One of those is the anime known as No Game, No Life. It's safe to say I really enjoyed it, but under an analytical microscope, does it still hold value as a good anime? Or is it just another pile of shit? Like a certain anime people keep relating this to. Sword Art Online. How about you keep watching and find out? Okay, Pumpkin? The story of No Game, No Life centers around Sora and Shiro, a brother and sister whose reputations as brilliant gamers create stories of how sugoi these two are. They even consider the real world just as another crappy game. One day, they are summoned by a boy named God to an alternate world. There, God has prohibited war, murder, theft, yada yada yada, and declared this to be a world where everything is decided by games, even the national borders. And humanity has been driven back into one remaining city by the other races. So now Sora and Shiro must bring humanity to a higher glory. If you watched High School DxD, have you ever told anyone you only watched it for the plot? If you have, odds are you're lying. The reason? With shows that have an abundance of ecchi in every single goddamn scene, it's very difficult to keep it in your pants and actually focus on the plot. With No Game, No Life, it's a bit different. One thing I didn't expect is No Game, No Life knows when to be serious and when to be ecchi. For the most part, at least. It's not gonna flaunt a huge ass pair of tits in your face in order to keep you intrigued. Again, for the most part. Because No Game, No Life has a good amount of control regarding when to use ecchi, I found the action scenes a lot more enjoyable. But what's so great about those action scenes, you ask? Because of the lack of ecchi, the action scenes were well paced and the story moved along well. There was hardly anything dwelled on for more than an episode, and it's easy to say that there aren't any boring moments. But some of these fights lack substance. I understand you need to beat this chick. I really do. But is it really necessary to turn the tables 4 times before ending the match? It's entertaining but repetitive, if you get my drift. One of No Game, No Life's biggest problems plot-wise is the lack of information. All we ever find out about this beautiful world is that a war happened a while back, and that there are 16 races that exist. That's it. The anime doesn't go deep enough into the rather interesting premise it's created. I would have loved to hear more about these 16 races that inhabit the magical world. Not even all 16 races are revealed. But alas, I was rather disappointed. No Game, No Life should have capitalized on the unique portions of its plot. Another aggravating plot element is how overpowered the characters are. They literally state that they will never lose. Yeah, we get some explanations that actually do make somewhat sense, but sometimes they just go way over the top that I can't even comprehend it. The themes include some that I feel are really precious to me. The first is family. You don't need to be bonded by blood to love someone unconditionally as family. And this one you may have guessed, but games aren't just games to some people. It's a form of escapism, the same way anime is. One thing I kept forgetting while watching this is that this is an ecchi anime. I mean, if they didn't include those bath scenes and the panty shots, I definitely would have thought this to be a shonen. But that's where the problem lies. Because of the nature of the ecchi genre, the chances are you're never going to find an exotic and well-developed character or cast. No Game, No Life is no exception with this ecchi curse. Sora and Shiro, the main protagonists, are brilliant gamers with the incapability of separating from each other. Yes, by the end of it all, they can finally work well without having the other around, but that isn't enough to say that they're developed. Stephanie, the ecchi of the show, is pure fan service and comic relief. Oh yeah, there's also some sub-romantic plot or something between Stephanie and Sora that I really didn't care about. There's no substance with her, and the romance, if you could even call it that, just feels forced. Like the writer just thought to himself, damn, we need some romance in here. So he threw Stephanie in there. Sword Art Online again. The best way to describe it may be through a comparison. Natsu and Lucy from Fairy Tail. An overpowered male protagonist who never loses, with a useless female protagonist whose only defining purpose is to add a little love and ecchi in the plot where it isn't needed. The remaining members of the cast, like Jibril, Kurami, and Fi, all follow the same path of lack of development. The cast is very enjoyable to watch, but just don't have any substance to them. However, one good thing about the characters is that everyone remains consistent throughout the entire course of the anime. No one breaks character and everyone keeps the role they were meant to have. And by consistency, I mean if you have people who play games 24/7, they wouldn't want to leave this new gaming world that they inhabit. Sora and Shiro don't attempt this. They take advantage of their opportunities and strive for higher roles, such as becoming king and even challenging God himself. Every anime has the star factor that just exceeds all, and I expected nothing less from Madhouse. In No Game No Life's case, it's the animation, hands down. Every character is outlined in a thin red line. Now in other anime this would look atrocious. It wouldn't fit at all with the atmosphere, appearances would be awkward, and it would just hurt to look at anyone. But No Game No Life's world is surrounded by bright and vibrant colors that just make the characters blend so perfectly together. If they were animated any other way with the original color scheme of this world, it wouldn't look good in the slightest. No matter where you look, it's just a beautiful sight to look at. Whether it be chess pieces constantly changing colors or detailed atmospheres of the earth forming, it all kept me reminded that this is a game world. However, I would have liked to see some brighter clothing designs to match the world. Sora's and Shiro's clothing are quite basic. I mean, come on, a t-shirt and a sailor uniform? That's what you come up with? Get an Xbox up in this bitch. I have much higher standards for Japanese dub compared to English dub. And when I say much higher, I mean like the distance between the Earth and Pluto. You may think English dubbing is a complicated process, but in actuality... Let's try listening to this again, but backwards. So when I say that the Japanese dub was average, that's not a bad thing. It's just I don't feel that anyone stood out. Yoshitsugu Matsuoka did very well voicing both serious and comical parts of Sora. Now that I think about it, he is pretty damn good. Who else did he do? Are you serious? But other than him, the voice acting is just standard. But what above and beyond was the opening. Oh my lord, I just love that song so much. This game, sung by Konami Suzuki, is superb. There's also an additional opening track available on the album sung by Konami Suzuki yet again, called Cyber Thunder Cider. As for the other OSTs, I would recommend The King's Plan, Now Loading, and the alternate version of the anime opening used in the game called Delighting. They're all fantastic. There aren't that many songs in this album, but I'd rather have a few amazing OSTs repeated a certain number of times rather than a lot of mediocre songs that are simply there just to be there. The songs fit each scene terrifically and it just keeps you immersed in this gaming world. During action scenes, we got some badass hype song to get us sucked in more, and comical scenes are accompanied by a lighthearted music to fit the tone. After all of my analyses, I've given the categories of story a 6.5, characters a 3.5, animation an 8.5, and sound a 7 for an overall score of 6 out of 10. However, if you're wondering what it would be with my personal enjoyment, the score would jump to a 6.5 with my enjoyment being an 8.5. So, to reiterate, does No Game No Life still hold value under an analytical microscope? Yes, it does. I think this is a good anime in regards to plot, animation, and sound, but characters lack any sort of depth, complexity, and development to them. Believe it or not, I would even recommend this to those who don't like ecchi, since in No Game No Life's case, the ecchi isn't a hindrance to the story like a certain anime I know of. Sort of a line again. Obviously, this anime isn't licensed for an English dub since it just finished June 25th, but it is available for legal streaming on Crunchyroll. If you have already seen No Game No Life, the two anime I would recommend would be Problem Children Are Coming From Another World, Aren't They? Or in Japanese, Mondaiji tachi ga isekai kara kuru so desu yo, which is basically the same frickin' thing as No Game No Life, except without ecchi. A group of overpowered people come from another world to a place where games decide everything, join a bottom tier guild, and tear shit up. It's just amazing. If you love No Game No Life, you'll definitely like this. It's great. The other anime I would recommend would be Sword Art. I can't do it. The actual other anime I would recommend would be B-Tomb. A neat pro gamer gets transported to an island that's based off of his favorite game. There he has to fight to survive alongside a girl with huge tits. Both the anime I just recommended are short and will keep you entertained the whole way through. Oh yeah guys, before you leave, if you don't know, I put an underrated personal favorite channel of mine at the end of every video. Today's channel is Cynical Noob. Dylan and I have known each other for a few months now, and he posts top anime videos and his own reviews. He's currently at 440 subs and has better editing than me. So if you like him, please subscribe. Oh, he's also in my Gun Gale Online Episode 1 discussion, so click the annotation on the screen to see that. Thanks guys.